Hey everybody, and welcome to the Better You podcast. My name, of course, is Ian Bickle. First and foremost, before we jump into this podcast, I want to apologize about my sound. I thought I was recording through this microphone here, which is great, but no, it switched to my headphones, so it makes me sound like I am in an aquarium or something like that, in the water, not just in an aquarium. Um, but it's great. The great thing is Sean is mostly talking. This podcast is all about Sean, one of my clients who has come so far, and we wanted to share his journey. So enjoy the journey, enjoy the story. Again, huge thank you to Sean, and I will catch you at the end. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. My favorite type of podcast, as always, is me sitting with people that I have helped or that have helped themselves. Hey, have that. Today I am joined with the wonderful Sean Courtney. So Sean, thank you for being here.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I am really, really excited for this because Sean and I have been working together for several months now. And you know, these podcasts, these are designed to tell Sean's story like everybody else who shares their story of where they were, what maybe got them there, and kind of for us to go off on little kind of tangents here and there that will, I guess, help everybody understand what kind of led you to the challenges that you were facing, and also like how the change that you've kind of went through is helping you from a personal perspective, professional one, in all areas of life. So not just about like kind of weight loss, Sean will talk about that. You've done many of those sorts of programs and diets before in the past. We knew this had to be different, so we're here to kind of share that story.
Perfect.
Beautiful, man. So, right, over to you, because I want to hear kind of where you were, mate. Where before we're working together, what's been the story of this?
So I had a little bit of sort of imposter syndrome, if you will. I never felt very good enough. I worked very closely at one point in my brother's business, which was a social media company, and I always used to introduce him as the better looking version of me, sort of the Tesco finest to down to the sort of Tesco basic, and basic being me. And that's when I started to network with you and got to meet you. And you were quite quick on the defense of don't pull yourself down, this sort of situation. I'm sure you're great in your own way, that sort of thing, which I always enjoyed the encouragement. But I did always sort of like hide under the shadow of being ashamed of the person I am and the way I am and what I've done in order to get through that, which for those that don't know, my journey through gaining weight was through a depression and giving up completely. But when I come through the back of that, to realize that I've sort of created this this version of me, I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't being able to go and play for a long period of time football with my grandchildren. I wasn't being able to do anything for a long time or walk anywhere for a long time without being out of breath. Even to the point of sitting down and being on a Zoom meeting, you could always tell that I was struggling for breath or needed a minute to kind of get my breath, which wasn't a great place to be. And that's when obviously you reached out, my man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that. How long was that kind of low self-worth, or over what time course was that fostered within you? Was that from very early age?
Yeah, so I mean, with the sort of like feeling low, I think that came to me roughly. I say early. I'm about around 25. I started to, feel a little bit of depression. Started to feel like I wasn't really achieving anything. I wasn't being who I wanted to be. Felt like I let a lot of people down in my life. Then came the loss of both my parents to cancer. A friend of mine who lost his life, All these things sort of spiraled into a sense of depression, a sense of sort of self-worth. And, maybe I could have helped more, maybe I could have done more, or maybe I could have been more if I would have done X, Y, and Z. But what happened is that I got to a point where I sort of gave up. I didn't think I was worth anything. I had a self-worth meter, which basically I sort of noted it down to. Started to journal everything of how I felt, which in images, as I used to draw in a little book, which is quite the dark images. But then obviously attempts on taking my own life gets you to the point where you really do believe that people would be better off in this world if you wasn't in it. Now, luckily for me, I've got a good support network, brothers, friends, my wife, my family, always there to sort of pull me up, pick me up. And as I got to the end of that sort of spiral, I realized that, I needed to do something. So I did what everybody else did. I jumped on anything that was shiny, anything that was glittery. If it had, Robbie Williams was at one point introducing Weight Watchers, and they changed their name to WW. And I thought, well, if Robbie can do it, I can do it. But then I didn't quite understand, what a sin was, essentially, because for me, I've been down a lot darker areas. I didn't really feel comfortable shopping. I had anxiety when I went shopping because I wasn't sure whether or not I could have something. And if I did eat something that I didn't think I was allowed, I didn't tell it to the group. I didn't want to talk to the group about it in case of judgment. And then with the Slimming World situation, which I jumped down on as well, having to stand on a scale in front of everybody, knowing that I either didn't gain any weight but stayed the same weight but didn't get any better because I wasn't understanding of what I was doing, or because I had anxiety, led to problems with me eating, and either led to me overeating or not, in order to just try and make a difference on weigh day, which wasn't a diet at all, and it didn't help with my depression or my mindset at all. But that's really where my journey started.
When it came to the diets, the kind of more commercial stuff like the Weight Watchers and the Slimming Worlds, was there anything else that you'd also tried, like kind of whether it's self-imposed or something else, like another diet that maybe doesn't necessarily have the commerciality of those big brands?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried all sorts of different diets. I've tried juice, just drinking shakes. I've tried fasting. I've tried anything you can think of. I have tried, and I found, I was always hungry with the juices. I wasn't very good at sticking to the fasting. And then once I started to eat, especially with the juices, because like you'd have a juice for breakfast, and then you could have something for lunch, or you'd have a juice for lunch, and then you'd have like a main meal. And in the same with the fasting, when I started to fast, although it was great to start off with because you have an amazing, with the same with the juice, you have amazing quick loss. When it got to the point that I could eat, I find I wouldn't stop, and I'd find I'd go a bit too far, and I find myself getting a little bit carried away, and not really sort of doing anything. But because I was sticking to my juices, or I was sticking to the timescales, you had that sense of, well, why isn't it working? You have that quick win, but then again, you end up back off the wagon, and you find it difficult to sort of mentally deal with it. Where I realized that my problem didn't really start with food. My problem started with my mind, which is one of the things that I really benefited from coming with you on, because quite early on in the session, we look at why I want to diet, or why I want to lose weight, or why I want to get fit. I find it very amazing that when me and you talk, we hardly mention the word diet. We hardly speak about it. It's my journey to get to where I want to be, and I think that's what makes the difference.
How long over what time frame had you been trying to just change the outer shell of Sean, lose weight, regain weight? What time frame are we looking at with that?
Well, my wife is not too far away from the trajectory, so let's be honest, it's been for the last 7 to 8 years that I have been trying to lose weight. I have been trying to get back to where I was, and I have steadily each year gained weight. I've gone from, well, I've gone at my heaviest, I was 22 and a half stone at my absolute heaviest. I introduced myself for the first time when I was 21 stone, 21 and a half stone, sorry, after losing a stone and then quickly gaining it back. And it was huge to think that what I weighed and what weighed the same as me at one point. It's scary to think that the things that I've been through, such as I've had a heart attack, and my weight is only going to add to me having another one. And the more weight I had would have been more detrimental to me coming out of another one. As a doctor quite bluntly told me, "You're a lucky man. You have another one, you won't be." But again, even leaving that hospital, anxiety kicks in, worry kicks in. I didn't know what to think. I didn't have any focus at all. And turned to food.
Thank you. Obviously, over this kind of 8 year period of trying and almost failing, and how did that leave you feeling? Because as it said, you'd get this initial, I call it like diet euphoria, where you assume everything's going swimmingly because you're seeing what is perceived as success, which is the scale weight going down, but the wheels fell off, and you would not just regain that weight, but gain a further amount of weight. What did that make you feel like?
Again, I just feel like I was sort of letting myself down.
So you felt it was your fault?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at where I was at the time. Depression was very much still key at that point, and it was like, again, you've messed up. Again, you've let people down. Again, you're going to be, you know what I mean, gone, and it's going to be your own fault. I didn't think at any point that I wasn't following the right thing or I wasn't doing the right thing. I just felt like I was letting myself down. It was my fault.
It
Little
was
man,
like a willpower discipline thing. Like
yeah, yeah. As I say, my grandkids come around and play football. I'll take them to the field. Within a few seconds, I was sat down again. They're running around having the time of their lives, but the one thing they're missing is me having that time with them and those memories. When you think about my eldest grandchildren are both 7 years old, the first part of their sort of lives where they're riding the bikes or they're taking pictures and stuff, the person behind the camera was always me because I wasn't able to run around with them.
when it comes to the future or looking back, if you didn't do anything properly, do you think it would have just been a continuation of diet cycles, like on off? And what do you think would be would have been the long-term consequences if you just continued down that path?
Oh wow. Yeah, 100%. You know, I read articles about you see them on the internet, you know, how Thor got his abs, etc. And you know, you start reading the 1 meal a day diet and the let's cut out everything and just have 1 meal a day, or so many calories for 1 week and then so many calories for the next week, and you can look like Tom Cruise. These are the things that I was in and out of on a daily basis. And I mean, um, the amount of money I spent on magazines or supplements or something to try would have been, phenomenal. And I could go to my cupboard right now and bring down a box of shakes that I tried from Boots, which cost me £80. I didn't like the shakes, so it was a waste of time. And I started it with all enthusiasm, but then dropped it. What would happen if I didn't start to lose some serious weight? What would have happened in the few months prior to meeting you? I don't think we'd be having this podcast, because if you remember the conversation when we were first talking, I had that chest pain while we were talking. I had that sort of minute where I needed to go and get a drink and that sort of thing. So it's interesting to think that essentially, I guess the outcome could have been I might not have been here.
The all the magazines, the diets, the shakes, the adverts, the messages, like inundated. What did that like kind of leave you feeling with like all of these mixed things going on, and often those things kind of conflicting often with the next? Where were you in terms of, right, what do I do? How do I move forward with this? Because I've exhausted my library of things to try. Where were you? What was your thought pattern?
I was so confused on what to do and where to go. I was like many other people, I'm sure that were in my position. I just gave up. I just got to the point where it was never going to work. It affected my relationship. It affected my time with my children. It affected my time with my grandchildren. I've got two lovely little dogs that I've only recently started being able to take for longer walks and just to the field around the corner. But it affected their happiness because they love a walk. And if it was either too hot or if it was too far, I needed a minute. I needed to breathe. I needed to have a drink of water or something to sort of get my breath back. So it's an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, man. I want to kind of talk about. So for those that are listening and don't know, and I will put a link in the show notes, I have a diet scorecard that I send, and it's completely free to do, and it's just a great kind of way for me to have a conversation and go like, where are you right now? What is going on in your mind in regards to food and how you perceive yourself? Do you mind if we talk about that and I share those results, Sean?
No, absolutely not. That'd be great.
Brilliant. So Sean, and I have told Sean this, like Sean has experienced the lowest score on that card. But I just want to obviously highlight this because the transformation that I care about isn't necessarily the physical one. Like, Sean has lost weight, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But this is what makes what we're doing so fantastic, is that as a byproduct of the work that we've actually done to him in relation to his relationship with food and himself. He said earlier had a lot of self-worth issues, and the way you spoke about yourself, the way you saw yourself. And when Sean's score came in, we had a kind of an overall score of like 13%. And there was things like his body image was down at 10, and food behaviors, attitude towards food, and the exercises all scored obviously very low. So we knew that all of these things that you'd attempted had just left you further confused, further lost, stuck in this kind of metaphorical rut. When you took that scorecard, what was your first kind of impressions?
When I took the scorecard, it was interesting because it started to ask questions that I didn't really quite understand how it fit with your diet. Um, but it's kind of an eye opener because you sort of realize exactly how you feel. For instance, with your relationship with food, um, I think that was one of my lowest scores with the scorecard to start off with, and to find out that I was your all-time lowest, um, that's definitely an eye opener and a thought for worry because I think from memory, it was sort of I didn't really know what I was doing when I was shopping. I didn't. I had no idea what to buy, what not to buy. I didn't feel confident in just going into the shop and buying something and trying different foods and doing different things because I didn't know what would do, what would be good, what wouldn't be good. The scorecard kind of makes you think, just not with your food, but with what's going on with you mentally as well, with what's going on with your mind, with what's going on with your image, how you feel about yourself. You ask some really, really important questions that you probably won't even have thought about asking yourself. Not necessarily questions that you are scared of asking yourself, but more questions you probably wouldn't have thought about asking yourself. And it really does genuinely put a lot of stuff into perspective and starts you. I think really the scorecard is the start of your journey with you. I think the scorecard is the way of opening Pandora's box in that, if you will, because people like myself, we've closed that into a box. We don't want to discuss it. We don't want to know about it. We don't want to talk about it. We've got every excuse going in the book, from it's not cost effective, or it's a good one that's not cost effective to diet. Well, it is. I found that out along the way. It's not, cost effective to eat good food. Well, it is. It's just where you shop. I'm going to do it, but I've got X, Y, and Z. I work nights, that sort of thing. My friend, honestly, it was the starting pistol of my race, and I can now see the finish line, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and when obviously that came through, I was kind of speaking to you. I don't think I shared with you at the time it was the lowest score, and I've had prior permission to this. I always ask permission as well, even on the podcast. But like to share these scores, so Sean is. I'm not kind of surprising Sean with like like a deer in headlights on in the middle of a podcast. But Sean said, listen, he's 100% going to be fully authentic and honest with what we've done, the process that we've went through to get him to the other side, and asked him to redo the kind of variation of the scorecard to look at how those areas have improved with himself. And the transformation there has been totally great, as you said. You've now are eating a diet that you enjoy. You are going shopping and things like that. Before we kind of move on to that, by the way, again, I will say go to the show notes and click on the scorecard link there if you do want to take it. Even if it is to just say you've got a great relationship with food, great. Everyone likes a little yes no scorecard quiz thing. So even if you just have it for fun, and you'll get a load of freebies off the back of that. But enough advertising of that right now. Back to Sean. Yeah, man. So what was it like working with myself? What was different? Yeah, man. Tell us a bit about that.
What can I say? Working with Mr. Bickle. Well, first of all, off the bat, nice chap. I mean, straight away, you've got somebody that's going to hold you accountable, but he's also going to be there for you when you need to be. I find working with you really, really intriguing because I realized that my journey started with my mind. That my mind and my body had to work at the same time, at the same place, and run this race together. A lot of the issues that I had previously was that my body wanted to lose weight, but my mind really wasn't there and ready to take that journey with it. And understanding my why, literally working out, why do I want to lose weight? Obviously, a lot of people will tell you, as I did when we very first met, I want to lose weight because I want to be healthier. Well, I want to look better. I want to get into that suit in that shop that I've seen. I don't want the store people to look at me as if to say, I hope he doesn't ask if he's got this in our size because we don't stock it. It was more for me understanding that my wife, my kids, my dogs, I know I keep mentioning the dogs, my brothers, people around me, all kind of want me around, all kind of need me in some way or another. I'm important part of the puzzle of their life. I might get on their nerves from time to time for sure, but understanding that gives you more empowerment to do what's needed to be done. I found myself wanting to get that exercise in. And I started simply. I started by making sure I got 10,000 steps in. I don't remember if you can remember. I used to quite enjoy meeting you. I got done my 10,000 steps, and then them 10,000 steps got to 14, and 14 to 20. And I think I peaked at about 23,500 steps in one day. But I found myself then actually getting that get up and go and wanting to go out and do stuff. And it had nothing to do with losing weight. It had something to do with the stuff that I knew I were missing out on. And thanks to the mind change, thanks to the understanding of the mindset, that basically helped me do it. And you did that through something that I recall as, and I do it, I call it facts over fad. As I say, I have been through the valley of fad and got through the other side and had some amazing videos from some amazing celebrities to tell me that I could look like Captain America. And I don't know if you've all noticed whilst watching this, I haven't quite got to the Thor and Captain America look yet. But understanding that that's exactly what they are, and they weren't designed to be a long-term fix. They were designed to be a quick fix to give you a result quick, and then back to that yo-yo where you're back in there and you're trying to find the next big thing to work. It doesn't work. What works is understanding about food, understanding about your body, understanding about nutrition, understanding about the reason you're not happy with yourself and the why. It's a whole journey, my friend. And you take with some of the stuff that you do, like your 5 pillars, your amazing, I don't want to give too much away, but your amazing stuff that you do, DeMartini, which sounds like I was going to have a drink with Ian, I'll be honest with you. But the DeMartini is one of the most amazing things you're going to go through. And right from the start, you get it. Whereas when I do things like Weight Watchers and things like Slim Fast, you get 1,001 pamphlets and booklets, and they tell you what you can, you can't cook. You feel like Gino D'Acampo. I have fun with food now. I make dinosaur lettuce salads with my grandkids, and they're like, little lad doesn't normally eat salad, but he chomp it down because it looks like a dinosaur. It's just amazing, mate. It really is amazing to work with you.
What was your biggest before we go on to that, like, did you always assume that in order for you to lose weight you would have to purposely like diet or do a thing? And I always talk to clients about like this thing in quotation marks, because people are doing something and they either doing it
Yeah.
or not doing it. So did you always kind of have in your head that in order for you to lose weight, there had to be like a certain diet, whatever the name, whether it even had a name, but it was under the kind of it always had conditions attached to what you ate or the exercise or movement that you did. Um, just tell us a bit about that.
So I always knew that there would be in my head. I always thought there'd be a USP somewhere down the line. When you start with certain places, you've got the sins, you've got your fasting, you've got your juicy shakes. There's always a USP that you've got to stick to. And when I very first came, apart from the fact that I've met you before in networking, I knew you was a nice lad. I was waiting for that USP. Obviously, session 1, okay, we're going to do this. Session 2, okay, brilliant. Session 3, there isn't a USP, is there? This isn't going to come. I'm not going to get this Bickle bar that I need to eat in order to make sure that I've taken the right amount of calories, or uh, a Bickle shake I'm going to have to buy to make sure that I've taken a meal out and changed it for this. That didn't happen. What happened was we sat down, we chatted about how I felt. You made me answer some really tough questions, which weirdly, because of how great a person you are, I didn't feel like they were intrusive to answer the questions. I always felt like there was a genuine want to help and a genuine need to see the best part of me come out, and I think that that's truly happened, and I think that's unique in its own sense. The fact that there isn't, I can't remember the last time we've sat down and we started a call with, so let's talk about your diet. There is no wagon to fall off when I work with you, because it's my wagon. I've created it. I put what I want on that wagon. It's going at my pace. And I think I can come off my wagon and go shopping and get back on my wagon with my shopping and crack on, but I can never fall off it, because it's not somebody else's, it's mine.
Love that, mate. When it comes to working with me, what is it you've felt that I've given you, like as a whole?
Confidence and trust in myself, self-belief and self-worth. I guess it's a little bit hard, this one, to be honest with you, buddy, because it's difficult to tell you that when I met you, I was still very, very dark. I was in a very suicidal sort of state of mind. I was still going through anything and everything you can think of. I was visiting a virtual group called Overeaters Anonymous. It's taken me away from thinking like I don't deserve to be on this earth. That's how deep it goes. It's stopped me from thinking that I don't have anybody that needs me. It's made me believe in myself again. And yeah, there's benefits. I'm 2.5 stone lighter. Of course, there's benefits. Yesterday, I celebrated a small win because I went up another notch on my belt. But the biggest thing that has helped is that I believe in myself. I believe that with the company I've started, that I will one day do that full time. I believe that I will get to the size I want to be when the time's right for me, at the right time, and I'm still eating healthier, and I'm still going out with my wife, and I'm still not feeling bad if I go out with my wife and we go out for pizza. I don't feel bad. I feel like it's okay, because I understand the facts of what I'm putting in my mouth. I understand the facts of what I'm going into, and what I'm ordering. And the biggest thing is my body now tells me I'm full and I can hear it. Whereas before I couldn't. I ignored it. And I'd overeat and overeat and overeat and overeat and overeat. I now know when I've had enough. And yeah, it's just almost life changing, to a point life saving.
I want to reiterate, like, everybody who's listening to this, they might have just heard and just kind of jumped onto the, oh, I've lost 2.5 stone, like 16 kilos or 35 pounds or whatever. But like, it's not about that, because Sean, you've probably done that before, but it's where that came from, and the attitude that you've got. There isn't this rigid mindset around food anymore. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. As he mentioned, there is no wagon, or, it's Sean's wagon that he can't fall off. And the a big part of what we've been doing is developing that trust and confidence that you mentioned in yourself and in food again. A big part of my service as a certified intuitive eating coach is giving people back the control. And as you said, it is facts over fad, but also there is redeveloping trust with your own personal intuition, with which diets kind of take you away from, because they have rules, they have conditions, whether it's tracking calories, whether it's eating in a certain time, whether it's having certain uh, points, whether it's how many limited to how many sins, whatever it is, or self-imposed conditions, eating good, eating clean, removing food groups, so on and so forth. None of that was shown. We have frameworks, we have principles, but the directions that we go are based on Sean, his mind, his experiences. There is no right or wrong way or pace. There just is what is, which gives people a sense of freedom that most people need in order to truly flourish, rather than feel pressured like a diet usually would give. I guess for, like, obviously coming towards the end now, we mentioned the physical stuff, okay? That you're telling us t-shirts are hanging off here and things like that. What does this mean for, your wife, your children, your grandchildren? What have they gotten back?
I think the biggest thing they've got back is me, and that's I used to be a very happy-go-lucky, jokey type person. It's in my persona to be that way, but having that sort of, I'm going to go to the park at the weekend, and depending on how I felt, it'd be sort of maybe not this weekend, maybe tomorrow. We'll just see whether it rains, and genuinely hoping that it rains. To now just getting the bike, getting the football, going out, having fun, spending some time with the wife, reigniting my life again. It's worth its weight in gold, mate. And trust me, back when I was the way I was, I mean, you're talking 22 and a half stone. If I was worth my weight in gold, I'd have told myself ages ago. It is just absolutely amazing to think that I've taken such a journey. It's been amazing, mate. It really has. I can't thank you enough. My wife loves you. She thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread. And that's the thing. It's this whole process has been like having a call with a mate and just going through it and just feeling confident and just feeling it's that easy to do. It's that if I can do it, anyone can. Trust me.
I appreciate it. And again, like going back to the hole that we felt that you were in terms of where you were with the relationships you had with food, and I think a lot of people create the belief that they can't do this. Um, you know, someone like Sean who has come out of this, and this is why it's called Thrive. You know, I want to see clients not just make amazing progress during the program, but I want to set them up for life so that in 1 year's, 5 years, 10 years time, they've never ever even went near a sniff of a diet. You know, that they know exactly who they are and what they're doing, because they are bigger than that, they are higher than that, they are better than that. And to the listeners right now, please, like, you are better than those things. And it's starting to take like independency and doing things on your terms, like we did with Sean. I just want to close with a couple of questions, if you don't mind, Sean. So, like, what does the future look like for you now? The big picture.
So the big picture, things that I've done. Let's put it this way. I have I've got that board, the dream board that I set up. Which for me, I use a wonderful word. I use the word paranormal, and it's paranormal because I didn't believe it could happen. That's it. But now I've booked a holiday for me and my wife. We're going away just together for next year. The future looks like by the end of 2024, I will be my own boss, running my own show. And the kids are loving me. I'm going to continue to lose weight. I'm going to continue to get fitter. I'm going to continue to do more. I still go to the gym now. 6 months ago, I joined a gym and never went. But now I enjoy going to the gym. I talk to people in the gym. I've been more sort of socially confident. I think moving forward, I'm only going to grow as a person. And that is genuinely thanks to you, my friend.
I really, really appreciate that, man. And I guess two more questions. The last one would be, the second to last one would be, what would you say to anybody that was kind of there on the fence thinking about approaching myself?
Do it. Honestly, the best slogan in the world is Nike's just do it. Just do it. You're talking to somebody now who gave up on everything. I'm talking life, family, being a business owner. I was a yes man to everybody. The confidence that I have got, you know, yes, the results are there, 2.5 stone, they're there. But the biggest picture is the person that you become at the end of it is the person you deserve to be. And I'm the person I deserve to be. Warts and all, I am the person I deserve to be. And for it, I'm happier, healthier, fitter, and my family are beneficial, and my friends are beneficial of it. Don't genuinely procrastinate. Somebody asked me the other week, which is really weird, and I'll just share this with you quickly. Somebody asked me the other week, when it comes to investing in yourself, ask yourself how much your life is worth. If you have to open a wallet and pay for yourself, how much are you worth? Because trust me, to your friends, your family, your children, your dogs, your cats, whatever you're into, you're worth $1 million and more. And I didn't think, I just thought, Ian's a nice guy, he's reached out, let's have a chat. Game changer, people. Just do it.
Yes, man. You kind of answered my last question with the most important question is, like, you know, are you happy? Not with the service, like, you know, I mean, just within yourself as just Sean.
I'd say I'm the business card of myself. I'm so happy to just kind of present myself and say, this is me. You know, am I the size I want to be? No, but I'm happy in the size I am right now because I know where I'm going. And that's the difference. You know, I'm so happy with who I am. When I put my clothes on, I go out in confidence. I am confident. This is the best version of me, and it's only going to grow.
Absolutely. Listen, Sean, you've been an absolute star. I really appreciate all of the kind of information and insight there that you've shared in regards to this journey. And I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing you grow and blossom even further on your journey, like with any of my clients, beyond us working together. I always love to keep tabs and keep in touch, and obviously I watch from afar just to see how you're doing. But mate, I would just like to say a big thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing all of that.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
And that is it. I want to just say a huge thank you once again to Sean. What an amazing guy, what an amazing story. As I mentioned in the podcast, as we mentioned, the diet scorecard in the show notes, please just go click. You get a load of freebies. You can just see where you're at the moment, you know, whether it's even worth considering having a conversation with me. If you are struggling with anything, if something's kind of hit home off this conversation, just reach out and we can just have a conversation. You can catch me at ian@buildwithbickle.com. You can send us a message through my Facebook, Instagram, all of that sort of stuff. Just Google Build with Bickle and you'll find us. So thank you very much for listening. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all of that stuff, and catch you soon. Goodbye.